Hi, I'm Alice. I live in New York with my husband Roger. We have 2 kids. Our older daughter, Clara, is a lawyer, and our younger one is in college. I work as a teacher, and Roger has big dreams of starting his own business. He believes it will make good money, but he doesn't have enough to get started, so he does small jobs to save up. I don't mind because my job brings in a steady income, and I handle the household expenses without any trouble. One Sunday afternoon, we were sitting in the living room. "The weather is nice today," Roger said. "Yes, it is. I'm excited to see Clara. She's been away for so long," I replied. "Me too. I've missed her." "How is your business idea going, dear?" I asked. "It's going well. I found an investor and things are looking promising," Roger said. "Oh, that's great. I wish I could help you more with money," I said. "It's okay. Your income keeps the household running. Don't worry about it. I know you're doing your best and I appreciate everything you do," Roger reassured me. "That's not what I meant, dear. I'm proud of your ambition and I believe in your dreams. I just want us to succeed together," I said. Before I could say more, Clara's voice interrupted us. "Mom, Dad, I'm back. Welcome home, Clara. We missed you so much," we both said. "I missed you both too. It's great to be back," Clara replied. Clara had just finished her law training. She's a sincere and kind girl. The next few days were full of joy and laughter. "Hey Mom, shall we go on a family trip? I'm starting work next month, and I want to spend time with you all before that," Clara suggested. She was right. We hadn't been on a family trip in years. I decided to fulfill her wish. "Oh sure, dear. It's been so long since we spent quality time together, and now that you're here, you don't have to worry about the expenses," I said. "Mom, I'll contribute too," Clara offered. I felt so proud of my daughter. We've raised our kids well, but I had some savings and wanted to pay for the trip myself. "Oh, it's okay. I have some savings and a credit card. We'll still have a good time," I said. "Great, Mom. I'll plan the whole trip," Clara said excitedly. The next day, Clara came to me. "Hey Mom, I need your credit card to book the flight." "Here you go," I said, handing her the card. "Thank you, Mom. I'll be back in a while," she said and went to book the tickets. But after a few minutes, she came out of her room looking worried. "Mom," Clara called. "Yes, dear?" "I can't book the tickets. It says your card has been blocked. I booked the tickets with my card, but I'm wondering what happened to yours." "What? How is that possible?" I asked, surprised. I checked, and it turned out that a big monthly payment was pending. "What? I didn't take any loan recently, and all the previous dues have been paid off," I said, confused. "Then it might be a mistake by the bank." "I'll call them and check," Clara said. I started to worry. I've always been careful about money and paid all my dues on time. I hoped it was just a mistake, but I tried to stay calm. Clara was on a call with the bank manager for a long time. I waited anxiously for her to finish. "Hey, is everything okay?" "What did they say?" I asked when she finally came out. "Mom, they told me you took a big loan this year and haven't paid any installments. That's why your card has been blocked. We can't use it until you pay the due amount," Clara explained. "What? I didn't take any loans. Are you sure, Mom? Maybe you don't remember. The amount is huge. How much is it?" $75,000, Clara replied. "What? How could I forget such a large amount? I've never taken on a debt this big." "It's okay, Mom. They said they would email the documents. We'll see what we can do," Clara said, trying to calm me down. "Oh God, what is this new problem?" "Don't worry, Mom. Where's Dad?" "I'll let him know. He went on a business trip for a week. It's an important meeting with a new investor," I said. "No worries. I'll handle it," Clara reassured me. But I was still really worried about the loan situation. I tried really hard to remember the details, but I couldn't recall anything. I've always been careful with my money since I've had to manage everything on my own, and the idea of taking out a big loan scares me. I even wondered if this could be a scam, which made me feel really uneasy. While on the business trip, Thomas and Roger had a serious conversation about money. "I don't understand why your wife didn't invest in your business all these years if she wanted to support you. And why did she transfer money to my account instead of doing it directly?" Thomas asked. "Honestly, I don't know the reasons behind her actions," Roger replied. "Are you sure about that? I heard she's a teacher, so how did she suddenly come up with such a large amount of money? It's better if you don't say a word to her, or you'll have to deal with the consequences, Thomas said. Roger then showed some photos to Thomas, who got scared and stayed quiet. That's not the main issue right now. Let's focus on my business idea. Did you like it? Roger asked. I have to admit, your idea is very interesting, but I want to remind you that there's always a risk in any business venture. Have you thought about the potential risks and challenges? Thomas asked. I understand there are risks, but I firmly believe in the success of my idea, Roger replied. It's good to have confidence, but you should be prepared. A well-thought-out plan and risk management are crucial for any business to succeed, Thomas advised. Thank you, Thomas. Let's go to the meeting now, Roger said. Roger nailed the meeting with his convincing skills and got the deal. They made a huge profit. Back at home, Clara came out after analyzing the details sent by the bank. Mom, the bank has emailed your details. It looks like the person who took the loan used all your documents. The loan is in your name, and your signature is on the papers too, Clara explained. Signature. I never signed any such document. You know me, Clara. I always read everything before signing, I said, shocked. I know, Mom. It's a fraud, and I'll find out who did this to you. But first, we need to file a police report, Clara said. What about my blocked cards and the payments due on this debt? I asked, worried. It's okay, Mom. I spoke with the bank manager. He said he'd report the fraud and could pause the payments until the culprit is found. Clara reassured me. I don't know how this happened. I feel terrible. You just wanted a trip, and I couldn't even give you that, I said, feeling guilty. It's okay, Mom. I promise I'll find out who did this before our trip, Clara said determinedly. I felt proud of my daughter at that moment, but I was also worried that she might get into trouble. I didn't want to discourage her, so I decided to support her fully. First, give me the documents, Mom. I'll go to the bank and verify them, Clara said. I handed her the documents. When Clara came back, she said the documents were real, but the signature wasn't mine. Someone had copied my signature and taken out a loan in my name. It must be someone close, Mom. Someone who has access to your documents and has seen your signature. Do you suspect anyone? Clara asked. I don't know, dear. My documents are always kept safe in our bedroom, and I never gave the key to anyone. My signature is something only my colleagues at school and family know, but none of them would do this, I replied. Where do you keep the keys, Mom? Clara asked. In my bedroom. Only your dad and I know where they are, I said. Could it be Dad, Roger? Clara asked hesitantly. No, what are you saying? He's your dad, I exclaimed. I know. But everything is pointing to him. Did you know, Mom? Dad can mimic your signature, Clara said. I used to take your signature on my report card so you wouldn't scold me for my low grades. What? I said it shocked. Yes, Dad can mimic your signature exactly, Clara admitted. Tears started rolling down my cheeks. But we still can't be sure of anything, Mom. The loan money was transferred to someone else's account. Do you know anyone named Thomas? Clara asked. You mean Thomas Jones? Yes, I've seen that name on your dad's phone. Maybe he's one of his friends. What's going on here? I need to talk to Roger, I said, feeling a wave of confusion. Yes, we should clarify this. He might have an explanation, Clara agreed. I called Roger, but he was unreachable. I couldn't believe he might have done this to me. If there was an emergency, he should have told me. My mind was full of questions, and I couldn't think straight. Mom, I think we should wait until Dad comes back, Clara suggested. Okay, I said, though the next 2 days were incredibly hard. Roger's phone remained unreachable, and I couldn't stop worrying. I was anxiously waiting for him to return home. Finally, on the day he was supposed to come back, the doorbell rang. Thinking it was him, I rushed to open the door, but it was just a courier. Disappointed, I signed the receipt and brought the package inside. What is it, Mom? Clara asked. I don't know, maybe some school documents. I'll check later, I replied. Shall I open it? Clara offered. Yes, go ahead, I said. As soon as Clara opened the package, it fell from her hands, and she looked shocked. Mom, she exclaimed. Seeing her panic, I got scared too and rushed over. She was pointing at the envelope on the floor. I picked it up, opened it, and saw some photos. The moment I saw them, my head started spinning. I sat down and looked at them again. The photos showed me hugging my friend Jackson, who works with me at school. There were also photos of us sitting in a cafe, feeding each other and even kissing. I couldn't believe it. I had never done such a thing. I always loved Roger. How was this possible? Clara, this isn't possible. I mean, the face and hair are mine, but I've never done this. Jackson has a family, and I would never cheat on your dad, I said, desperately trying to make sense of it. I know, Mom. It's hard for me to believe too, but the love letters in there are in your handwriting. It doesn't seem right, Clara said, confused. Just then, Roger arrived home. Dad, Clara said, greeting him. Why do you look so? By the way, I've got great news. We made a tremendous profit on this deal, Roger announced, not noticing the tension in the room. Oh, why is it so hot in here? What's going on? What's in your hand, Alice? Before I could stop him, Roger took the envelope from me. He opened it and stared at the photos. What is this? Who is this man, Alice? Answer me. Roger demanded angrily. It's my colleague, Jackson, I explained, trembling. Oh, wow. Is this what you do at school? Roger shouted. Dad, at least listen to her. The photos are edited. Don't you trust Mom? You know how much she loves you, Clara pleaded. No, she doesn't love me. That's why she's so calm and hasn't asked you about the $75,000 debt I took in her name, Roger retorted. What? You took out that loan? I asked in shock. Oh, so you found out, Alice? Well, since we're on the subject, listen to this. I want a divorce. You've cheated on me, and I'm going to file a case against you in court, Roger declared. Stop it, Dad. I never thought I'd have to say this to you, but I have no other choice. Mom never cheated on you. You've created these fake proofs to sabotage her. Clara shouted, standing up to her father. Oh, I never thought you'd become this smart. You figured it out, but you don't have any proof. Listen carefully. If you still want to call me Dad, you'll do what I say, Roger threatened. No, Dad. I became a lawyer to fight for the truth and punish liars. I'm going to fight for Mom, Clara replied, determined. Roger couldn't believe what Clara was saying. He stared at her angrily. You're just a kid. You don't have any proof. If you want to fight for your mom, then get out of this house now, Roger shouted. Okay, Dad, I'll leave, but you'll realize your mistakes soon. Come on, Mom, let's go to my place, Clara said. I couldn't believe this was my husband, the man I had loved all my life. How could he do this to me? And most importantly, why? I had always supported him, and now he was repaying me like this. I couldn't handle the trauma. Clara took me to her home. Mom, rest for a while. Don't think too much. I'll make everything right, Clara said. I closed my eyes, and memories of Roger and me falling in love, getting married, raising our kids, and our life together flashed before my eyes. How could he forget everything? Why would he do this to me? I fell asleep, exhausted and heartbroken. Meanwhile, Clara was working on the case. She had learned in law school to always stand up for the truth, no matter what. She was determined to uncover the truth. Clara emailed the photos to her friend, who was an editor, to confirm that they were edited. Then she started investigating Thomas Jones. Clara got his contact details from the bank and called him. Hello, Thomas? Hello, who is this? Thomas answered. I'm Clara, Roger's daughter, the one in whose business you've invested money. Clara introduced herself. I don't know any Roger, Thomas said, sounding confused. Stop lying. I have all the proof of your emails and chats. This call is being recorded, so you better tell the truth, Clara warned. Thomas sighed. Roger is blackmailing me, Clara. I'm sorry. He said he would ruin my marriage if I didn't cooperate. You don't have to worry. He can't do anything. But if you don't speak the truth, I'll have to file a complaint against you as well, Clara replied firmly. No, please don't. I'm sorry, I'll cooperate. What do you want to know? Thomas asked, his voice shaky. How much did you invest in my dad's business? Clara questioned. Clara, I didn't invest anything. Your mom did, Thomas confessed. Mom, do you know this? Clara asked, turning to me. Yes, Alice, right? You transferred $75,000 to me and told me to invest in Roger's business, Thomas said. What? When? I exclaimed, shocked. Clara, I have no idea what he's talking about. I never transferred money to him or texted him. It's okay, Mom. I think I've got an idea, Clara reassured me. She then told Thomas, okay, thank you for cooperating. This is enough information. We realized Roger had deceived everyone. Clara then decided to check with Jackson. She knew him well and trusted that he wouldn't do anything wrong, but she needed proof. Clara went to Jackson's house and explained everything. Jackson was shocked when he saw the photos. In reality, the photos were of Jackson and his wife. Roger had edited my face in place of Jackson's wife. Clara collected the original photos from Jackson as evidence. A few days later, another courier arrived. "Mom, here's another package for you," Clara said. "Oh God, what now?" I muttered, feeling exhausted. "Relax, Mom. Just open it," Clara encouraged me. I opened the package and was shocked once again. It was divorce papers. Roger had sent me divorce papers, accusing me of cheating on him. "What? This is too much now, Mom. You need to fight this," Clara insisted. "Dear, he doesn't love me anymore. Maybe it's better if we get separated. But I won't accept these false accusations. We'll go to court and prove him wrong," I decided. Clara was right, there was no love left, but I had to protect my self-respect. So we appealed to the court. On the day of the trial, Clara and I went to the family court. Roger stood in front of me, and I looked into his eyes, seeing no feelings for me. How could a person change so suddenly? What did I do wrong in our marriage? The trial started, and Roger accused me of cheating on him with Jackson and demanded a divorce. Clara spoke confidently, "Your Honor, the accusations against my client are baseless. We have evidence to prove this. The photos in question were manipulated, and here are the original photos." Clara's editor friend had confirmed the photos were edited, and Clara presented the original ones as evidence. She also explained how the photos had been altered. "The evidence we provided shows that my client did not cheat. These accusations are false," Clara argued. The judge reviewed the evidence and then asked me about the divorce. "Your Honor, I do want a divorce. My husband's false accusations and actions have destroyed our relationship. There's no love left between us," I said, holding back tears. "But there's also a serious matter. Roger took a substantial debt in my name by forging my signature and committing fraud with the bank. This needs to be addressed." Clara presented the examination of the signature, which turned out to be fake. Thomas also testified, explaining how Roger had blackmailed him. "Mr. Roger, do you have any explanation for these actions?" the judge asked. Roger sighed. "I admit I made false accusations against my wife, and I did take out a loan in her name. I was desperate and needed financial support for my business, but she didn't support me. So I wanted to separate from her." "If you wanted a divorce, why make false accusations?" the judge pressed. "Because I didn't want her to be a part of my success. I didn't want to pay alimony after the divorce," Roger confessed. Hearing Roger's words, I felt a mix of sadness and disbelief. I had supported him all these years, even if not financially, and this was how he repaid me. "Your Honor, my client seeks justice. We request appropriate measures to address the financial deception and false accusations," Clara stated. The judge acknowledged the harm Roger had caused and made his final decision. Roger and I were granted a divorce, and he was ordered to pay a substantial compensation. I was proud of Clara for standing by me, though I couldn't help feeling hurt by my husband's actions. However, I found comfort in knowing that I had protected my self-esteem. After a week, I started to heal from the emotional trauma. Clara and I decided to go on the trip we had planned, seeking much-needed time together and a fresh start.
When I was around 8 years old, I accidentally broke a vase that meant a lot to my stepmom. She never really seemed to like me much, and she gave my dad an ultimatum. It's either her or me. I was sure my dad would choose me because we were really close, but that night he said I was going to stay at Grandma's. I couldn't believe it until I actually got there, and he left. That moment changed something inside me. He called me every day and tried to visit as much as he could, but I couldn't pretend to be happy because I wasn't home. I stopped pretending pretty quickly. Looking back, I realized I acted like I didn't feel anything towards him. No anger or sadness, just numbness. Sometimes I overheard my dad complaining to Grandma about how I had changed. When I was 9, I told my mom I wanted to live with her all the time because I couldn't stand talking to my dad or seeing him anymore. Even though her apartment was small, she agreed. Honestly, I slept in her bed until I moved in with my fiancé. But I didn't mind because she's my mom. and it was better than being alone in my own room with him around. My mom and I got really close, and she signed me up for after-school activities so I could avoid my dad, and eventually, we just stopped talking to each other. I'm grateful for it because it meant I didn't have to be around him. A few years ago, my stepmom had a baby, and everyone was celebrating. But I was glad I wasn't there and hadn't even met the kid yet. I only saw him on special occasions or when they visited Grandma's house when I happened to be there. My fiancé proposed to me recently in a low-key way, and I only told a few family members about it. Now even Grandma knows how little I talk to my dad and how I keep him out of the loop. So it was a shock when my dad called me, inviting me to a family dinner to meet my fiancé and my new baby brother. I made up an excuse because I wasn't interested. Turns out Grandma spilled the beans, and I got angry with her for telling my dad about my engagement. Then my dad texted me, scolding me for taking my issues out on Grandma. I hate to admit it, but he was right about that. He sent me to Grandma's because he couldn't deal with me, and now he wants us to play happy family? Not happening. All I need to tell him is that my fiancé and I, congratulations by the way, have no interest in having dinner with a man who chose his wife over his own child because of a broken vase. And let's not even get started on how my stepmom got away with giving such an ultimatum in the first place. He's reaping what he sowed, no doubt about it. Speaking as a father myself, there's no way I'd ever prioritize a girlfriend over my own child, especially not for something as trivial as a vase. I'd probably burst out laughing if she ever tried to give me an ultimatum like that. It seems like both dad and stepmom are a match made in heaven, if you ask me. Honestly, I'd be tempted to send them a goodwill vase with a sarcastic note like, "Since you missed the wedding, here's a vase you can walk down the aisle anytime you want." Or maybe even a photo of the vase dressed up like a bride. If the OP is Jewish, perhaps she and her fiancé could film themselves smashing vases in a wedding-style video. Oh, but why not send a vase to your dad and stepmom to congratulate them on the new baby, along with a card? You could write something like, "Hope the new baby doesn't break anything too precious. Grandma's not getting any younger raising your kids." Or even, "The day you chose your wife over your own child was the day I stopped being your daughter. Please refrain from contacting me as I have no interest in maintaining a relationship with you." It's powerful and eloquent. And OP, don't forget to apologize to your grandma, but make it clear that you'll have to limit what you share with her if she continues to pass information along to your father. I have 2 sons who are in their pre-teen years from my previous relationship. My ex and I split up because of various issues, one of which was Emily, a woman he worked closely with for years. They became very close, and she often made remarks to me about how my ex deserved someone better than me and accused me of trying to tear his family apart. Sometimes she even pretended to be his wife at work events, which my ex would just brush off. Besides, he wasn't great at handling finances and other responsibilities. After we separated, my ex officially started dating Emily, which wasn't surprising to me at all. Emily became even more hostile when she realized that my ex's family still liked me and continued to include me in their gatherings, especially when she noticed that my sons weren't thrilled about the situation. She saw herself as their dad's new girlfriend. Emily went as far as to insult my ex's mom for praising me as the best mom during a family dinner. The judge warned my ex about using Emily for custody exchanges and dealing with our boys' issues. She had confronted me multiple times during exchanges, showing hostility and even saying things that could be seen as trying to turn the kids against me. Despite the warning, my ex continued to let her handle things, and he was fined for disobeying the judge's orders. He was told that if it happened again, custody arrangements would be changed. Lately, there's been more attention directed towards me. Emily, unable to have children of her own, wants the boys to see her as a mother figure. They came to me for guidance, but I refused, stating that Emily wasn't their mother and I wouldn't endorse it after the years of verbal abuse from her. During an awards night at school in June, Emily insisted the boys take photos with her for the school newsletter. But they refused, stating she wasn't their mom. My ex scolded them, but I stayed silent. When X and Emily criticized me for not supporting them and allowing disrespect, I defended the boys, stating that what they said wasn't disrespectful. They accused me of being a bad parent and teaching the kids to disrespect women, but I stood my ground. So am I the one in the wrong here? Definitely not. They were just stating the truth, and it's pretty amusing how they're trying to enforce respect while being disrespectful themselves. Should I consider seeking a modification of custody based on their behavior? Because honestly, your boy's well-being is at risk with these two. She's not their mom, and they're not replacements just because she can't have kids of her own. They're children, and if they don't ease off, they'll only push them away and damage their relationship permanently. What happens when nobody's around to protect them at his place? Will your ex prioritize your sons or his new wife? Let's face it, they were emotionally involved at least. How blind are Emily and your ex? This is exactly how most kids feel about their dad's new partner. They're never going to see her as their mom. And when she said she wasn't asking but ordering them, their response was spot on. She's not their mother, so she can't give them orders like that. It's a fact that Emily isn't their mom. And by being hostile towards their actual mother, she's not going to earn any motherly role in their lives. Your ex is making a huge mistake. He's letting his wife jeopardize his relationship with his own kids. Someone needs to make him see that. Let him know that you'll only make parenting decisions together, and she won't be involved in any motherly capacity. If she wants kids, they can adopt, because she's not getting yours. Story 2. I'm a father of 2 daughters, Laura, who's 30, and Sarah, who's 19. They have a significant age gap of 10 years because my wife had fertility issues. Laura has achieved a PhD in psychology, and my wife and I couldn't be prouder of her accomplishments. However, Laura maintains very limited contact with us, largely due to her upbringing. I must confess that my wife and I were quite strict with her. When Laura was entering high school, she started to distance herself from us and often avoided spending time with the family. Eventually, we discovered from her counselor that Laura resented us for how we treated her when Sarah was born. Reflecting on our past actions, my wife and I decided to raise Sarah differently. We made a conscious effort to be more encouraging and supportive whenever Sarah faced challenges, aiming to provide her with a more positive upbringing. Unfortunately, this led to resentment from Laura, who felt that Sarah had a much easier childhood compared to her. As Sarah entered high school, we encountered behavioral issues such as disrespect and dishonesty, which caught us off guard. Despite this, we chose not to intervene significantly, fearing that Sarah would come to resent us as Laura did. As both girls excelled academically, we held on to the hope that everything would turn out fine. However, Sarah's behavior worsened during her final year of high school. Despite the escalating problems, we hesitated to take action, fearing that intervening would only strain our relationship with Sarah further. Fast forward to the present, Sarah is 19 and attending university, while Laura is enjoying financial success in her career. Recently, Sarah found herself in trouble after attempting to flirt with one of her professors and sending inappropriate pictures. Fed up with her behavior, my wife and I confronted her about her actions, expressing our disappointment and frustration. In the days that followed, I often found myself comparing Sarah's behavior to Laura's successes, highlighting Laura's respectfulness and achievements. One day, I even mentioned to Sarah that perhaps I should have raised her more like Laura. This comment struck a nerve, and Sarah lashed out. She accused me of mistreating Laura during her childhood, expressed her indifference toward my wife and me, and accused me of favoritism toward Laura. Sarah also revealed that her resentment and disrespectful behavior toward us stemmed from reading a journal that Laura had given her, where Laura had written about the punishments she received from us during her high school years. Story 3. When I was around 8 years old, I accidentally broke a vase that meant a lot to my stepmom. It seemed like she never really liked me, and she gave my dad an ultimatum. It's her or me. I thought my dad would pick me because we were so close. But that night he said I was going to stay at Grandma's. I couldn't believe it until I got there, and he left. That moment changed something inside me. He called every day and tried to visit often, but I couldn't pretend to be happy because I wasn't home. I stopped pretending quickly, and looking back, I realized I acted numb to him, not angry or sad, just emotionless. Sometimes I overheard him complaining to Grandma about how I had changed. When I turned 9, I told my mom I wanted to live with her full-time because I couldn't stand talking to my dad or seeing him anymore. Despite her tiny apartment, she agreed. I slept in her bed until I moved in with my fiancé. But I didn't mind because she's my mom, and it was better than dealing with him every day. My mom and I grew incredibly close, and she kept me busy with after-school activities to avoid my dad, until contact eventually faded away. I'm grateful for it because I didn't have to endure being around him. A few years back, my stepmom gave birth, and there was a big celebration. I was relieved to be nowhere in sight and hadn't even met the kid yet. I'd only caught glimpses of him on birthdays or when they visited Grandma's house while I was there. About a week ago, my fiancé proposed to me in a low-key manner, and I shared the news with my mom, uncle, mom's cousin, and grandma. Now, Grandma knows how little I communicate with my dad and how I keep him out of the loop. So it was quite unexpected when my dad called, inviting me to a family dinner to introduce my fiancé and meet my new baby brother. I made up an excuse because I wasn't interested. Grandma was the one who spilled the beans, and I ended up getting mad at her, even yelling for telling my dad about my upcoming marriage. Not long ago, I received a text from my dad chastising me for involving Grandma in my issues with him. As much as I hate to admit it, he was right about that. So he sent me packing to Grandma's because he couldn't be bothered, and now he wants to pretend everything is fine. No way. All I need to say is that my fiancé and I, thanks for the congrats, have no desire to have dinner with a man who chose his wife over his child because of a broken vase. And let's not even start on how stepmom got away with issuing such an ultimatum in the first place. He's reaping what he sowed, no doubt about it. Speaking as a father myself, there's no way I'd ever prioritize a girlfriend over my own child, especially not for something as trivial as a vase. I'd probably burst out laughing if she ever tried to give me an ultimatum like that. It seems like both dad and stepmom are a match made in heaven, if you ask me. Honestly, I'd be tempted to send them a goodwill vase with a sarcastic note like, "Since you missed the wedding, here's a vase you can walk down the aisle anytime you want." Or maybe even a photo of the vase dressed up like a bride. If the OP is Jewish, perhaps she and her fiancé could film themselves smashing vases in a wedding-style video. OP, why not send a vase to your dad and stepmom to congratulate them on the new baby, along with a card? You could write something like, "Hope the new baby doesn't break anything too precious. Grandma's not getting any younger raising your kids." Or even, "The day you chose your wife over your own child was the day I stopped being your daughter. Please refrain from contacting me as I have no interest in maintaining a relationship with you." It's powerful and eloquent. And OP, don't forget to apologize to your grandma, but make it clear that you'll have to limit what you share with her if she continues to pass information along to your father. I have 2 sons with my ex, both in their tween years. Our relationship ended due to various issues, one of which was Emily, a colleague my ex became close to. She often belittled me, claiming my ex deserved better and that I was trying to break up their family. On multiple occasions, she even pretended to be his wife at work events, which my ex found amusing. Additionally, he struggled with financial management and other responsibilities. After our breakup, he officially started dating Emily, which didn't surprise me. Emily's hostility escalated when she realized my ex's family still respected me and included me in gatherings, despite my boys not being entirely happy about her presence as their dad's new girlfriend. She even insulted my ex's mom for praising me as the best mom during a family dinner. The situation worsened when the judge warned my ex about using Emily to handle custody exchanges and issues. Emily had confronted me several times in front of our children, showing hostility and making remarks that could be seen as attempting to alienate me as a parent. Despite the judge's warning, my ex continued this behavior, leading to fines for violating court orders. He was warned that if it happened again, custody arrangements would be revised. Lately, there's been a rise in tension directed toward me. Emily, unable to have children, desires the boys to see her as a mother figure. They sought my assistance, but I declined, asserting that Emily isn't their mother, and I won't encourage them to view her as such after the years of verbal abuse from her. During an award ceremony at school in June, the boys were asked by Emily to join her in photos for the school newsletter. They declined, stating she wasn't their mom, so she couldn't make such requests. Despite their refusal, my ex reprimanded the boys, while I remained silent. When confronted about not supporting them, I defended the boys, explaining that their response wasn't disrespectful. However, my ex and Emily insisted I should have intervened and not allowed such perceived disrespect. They accused me of being a bad parent, claiming I shouldn't have allowed the boys to act that way, and accused me of teaching them to disrespect women. So here I am, wondering if I'm the one at fault. No, you're not. They simply stated the truth. It's also quite amusing how they're insistent on avoiding disrespect. But does this behavior warrant revisiting custody arrangements in your favor? Frankly, the mental well-being of your boys is at stake with these two. She isn't their mother, and they're not substitutes because she has fertility issues. They're just kids, and if they don't back off, they'll only alienate them and damage their relationship irreparably. What happens behind closed doors at his place when no one's there to protect them? Would your ex prioritize your sons or his new wife? Let's not ignore the emotional affair they had, at the very least. How blind can Emily and your ex be? This is precisely how most kids feel about their dad's new partner, and they're unlikely to accept her as their mom. As for her assertion that she wasn't asking, in essence, she was commanding them, their response was appropriate. She's not their mother, so she can't dictate to them that way. Emily isn't their mother. That's a fact. By being hostile to their mother, she won't play a maternal role in their lives. Your ex is making a mistake. He's allowing his wife to jeopardize his relationship with his own kids. You need to make that clear to him. Tell him that you'll only make parental decisions with him, and none will involve her as a mother. If she wants kids, they better adopt because she's not getting yours. Story 4. I'm a 55-year-old father with 2 daughters, Laura, age 30, and Sarah, age 19. There's a significant 10-year age gap between them due to my wife's fertility issues, which is important to note. Laura has achieved a PhD in psychology, and my wife and I couldn't be prouder of her accomplishments. However, Laura maintains minimal contact with us, largely due to her upbringing. I must confess that my wife and I were particularly strict with Laura. As she entered high school, she began to distance herself from us, often refusing to spend time with the family. It wasn't long before we discovered through her counselor that Laura harbored resentment towards us for how we treated her when Sarah was born. Reflecting on our past mistakes, my wife and I made a conscious decision to raise Sarah differently. We aimed to provide her with encouragement and support, unlike the treatment Laura received. Despite our efforts, Sarah's teenage years were not without challenges. Issues such as disrespect and dishonesty arose during her high school years, leaving us perplexed as to their origins. Nevertheless, we tolerated her behavior, fearing that intervening would only result in her resenting us, similar to Laura. Both Laura and Sarah excelled academically, leading us to believe that we were on the right track. However, Sarah's behavior deteriorated during her final year of high school, yet we hesitated to take action, fearing that she would come to despise us as Laura did. Fast forward to the present, Sarah is 19 years old and attending university, while Laura enjoys financial success in her career. Recently, Sarah found herself in trouble after attempting to flirt with one of her professors and sending him inappropriate pictures. Fed up with her behavior, my wife and I decided it was time to confront her. We expressed our disappointment and frustration, raising our voices in the process. In the days that followed, I frequently reminded Sarah of Laura's accomplishments and exemplary behavior. At one point, I even suggested that I should have raised her in the same manner as Laura. This comment sparked a strong reaction from Sarah. She lashed out, accusing me of mistreating Laura during her childhood and showing favoritism towards her. She expressed her disregard for my wife and me, claiming that my remarks had deeply hurt her. Additionally, she confessed that she had been acting rudely towards us after reading the journal that Laura had written during high school. In the journal, Laura detailed how we used to discipline her, which evidently affected Sarah's